Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the next episode of Home in Motion. It's been a little while since we've recorded our last episode, but I guess we should start there. It's been a little bit of a busy summer after school finished up. Then we had our nephew here for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then we've been rip-roaring Olivia back and forth to camp at least for the past couple weeks.
There ain't no me.
Hey, I've done my days when I'm here at home. I took care of today. You didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, a few days out of the week. Yeah. One day out of the week.
Okay, that's still something. I'm doing my commute to San Francisco, so it's not like I'm not driving.
Yeah.
But she's been in camp, and then it's already literally like 2 weeks before school starts back. So I feel like the summer went by pretty fast between all of those things. And after all of that, we finally had some time to get out and explore. This episode is going to be about Glen Ellen, which I'm pretty excited about. Like, this is probably one of my favorite episodes of everywhere, like of the towns and cities that we've gone and explored in Sonoma County. And we'll obviously talk about why, but there's lots of things. So in case you're not familiar with the area, Glen Ellen is a really small town. I think by most people's standards, the census or the population is only like 800 people. And it's smack between Kenwood and the town of Sonoma. And it got its name after one of the early settlers, Charles Stewart. He named it after his wife, and they like came here in like the late 1800s and were one of the first people to like settle in the area and start growing wine. So it's a little niche area, and we really enjoyed getting out to explore it. And we're trying something new this episode too. We want to get into interviewing some of the people from the places that we go and explore, and we'll have that at the end of the episode today.
Yeah, so stay tuned. This is for everyone that's on YouTube. You will actually see the interview we did with the guys from Glen Ellen Star. Yeah. But it'll still be on the podcast, the audio only. You'll just get the audio.
Yeah.
But go to the YouTube channel and you will see the actual interview.
And we did it like in the restaurant. So it was really fun to like get to see them in their element and like talk to them and learn more about their team.
Yeah.
So,
well, it was in the restaurant, but it wasn't like in the restaurant. It was like one of their
dining
extension dining rooms. Yeah.
Still there.
Yeah.
Which is probably more than we'll talk about it, but that when we actually got to see when we were eating there.
Yeah. Thanks, Noah.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. So the first part, we always kind of start with our activity or non-food and wine related item. And we started off at Jack London State Park. And it's named after the famous author, Jack London, who his most famous books are White Fang and Call of the Wild, which they've made that into movies and things like that over time too. So he has written a lot more than just that. But the state park is actually his ranch and like where he lived back in the 1900s. And it has a lot of historic buildings that they've either like restored or the foundation and kind of the base of the buildings are still around where you can go. And they have his cottage is actually like a museum. So they have other buildings there where you can do tours. So but this is all like his ranch that like the different components they've kept up over time. And we've actually done the Wolf House, which was basically Jack London's dream house that, I mean, even by today's standards, I feel like that is like a big house. Like it's got like 9 fireplaces. Like it was like ginormous.
Was that the one that was burnt down?
Yeah. And it ended up burning down. And that was the first hike we did. But if you guys have time and you're exploring, we would definitely recommend it because you get to walk by his grave too. It was a really beautiful hike. This is probably one of our favorite parks as far as like Sonoma County and getting out and hiking. But we haven't done the Beauty Ranch, which is what we did this time. And as soon as you like pull into the parking lot, or like the gate, what is it called? When you get into the state parks, like the little,
I don't know.
Just the attendant, like the people that you pay to get into the park.
Yeah.
It's literally right off the right-hand side. And we parked and then literally probably a quarter of a mile hike up I'd say was a medium hill. Like it was fine for us, but a little bit challenging for Noah because he walked the whole time. And then as you kind of come up the hill, you get to some of those old buildings that I was mentioning. And one of the first ones is an old distillery, but they have a lot of his old farming equipment. And this is what at least for me, I found really interesting because he's a writer and an author. Like I get it, back in like the 1900s, they did a lot more than we do nowadays. But like farming and what he did on his ranch was like not correlated with his writing and all the other things that he did.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming he farmed to live.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I mean, his books were really famous, so it made him like he was famous for those things. But like farming is just completely different than writing.
Well, that could be a passion. Like just like writing is a passion, farming could have been a passion. He didn't want to live in a big city. He likes the seclusion of being out by himself.
Yeah. So. Well, definitely. And he had all that land. And they did say that like he liked the land because he wanted to get away from Oakland, which I guess was it is still a big city, but for back then it was a big city too.
Interesting. So he lived in Oakland originally?
I think he worked there. Like when he was traveling and stuff like that, like he was in Oakland a lot. So, but you come up and there was this old distillery that has all his like old farming equipment. So you get to see pretty quickly like all the things. And he was like anti like technology in a sense. Like he did all his farming with like horse-drawn carriages, and like even for that time I think was like old school. Like he didn't use any of the like motorized equipment or anything like that. And then what the other part that was really cool, and this is all in like a really small area, the trail kind of makes a circle around, but there's these old vineyards. It's the Kohler and Frawling Winery, and it's one of their original wineries. And this actually, it's just the foundation that's left, and it all kind of broke down in the 1906 earthquake that happened in the Bay Area, and now they use it to host events. So it's like this big open space. So it was kind of nice because the walls of the foundation are still there, and so like I could just let Noah and Olivia run around and play, and they're kind of contained because the walls were there.
Yeah. Are you talking about the place that was there after the little barn?
After that little barn was the old distillery that had the equipment, and it was right after, and it was right next to the house.
Oh yeah. I remember. I think I took a video through there or something.
Yeah.
I think it'll be in the YouTube video. Yeah.
They host events and stuff there too. So
really?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, it's all grass, right? No, it was gravel. What was it?
Yeah, it was grass. It was like a little bit of mix of both. There was like a trail, I feel like, that went through it, but it's like grass. There's it's a Broadway company that like they do shows there, and I think they host like other events where they put like tables and stuff out there. Like
interesting. I'll have to look that up. I wonder if it's on YouTube or something. I just can't envision it. I know I get like maybe on one side they have the stage or whatever, but sitting in the grass?
No, I mean they put like tables.
Well, I know that, but I don't know. Anyways,
it was like, to me, I loved that view of like going up there because you literally walk up and you see like the winery ruins, and then behind it is all vineyards, and then behind the vineyards are redwood trees. So it's like it just builds on each other from this like old building, and then you see, and especially right now we're getting ready to come up onto harvest season, so the the grass is all dead, but the vines are really flush and full because it's about that time for them to be harvested. And then you have the big redwood trees behind it. So I just thought it was like so beautiful because you had like the layers of the different sceneries.
Yeah, it's a really nice hike. I mean, it is very beautiful, but I feel like most places you go hiking in California is pretty nice.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice.
And this, as far as like being family friendly, I feel like the trails are really well maintained to where like it was easily accessible for the kids and everything, and they're wide. Not quite stroller friendly because it was gravel a fair amount, but
it would be okay if you had like one of those off-road strollers. Yeah, they're nice and wide, and they're very easy trails.
Yep.
Yeah, no major hills except for the beginning, but that's nothing really.
Yeah, like even Noah at 2, almost 3 was fine doing that. And then other than the old vineyards, then we kind of snuck around the trail. There are 2 parts of the farm that like historically, and maybe this is me being a little bit nerdy, but I was excited to see. The first one we got to was the Pig Palace, which kind of what you were talking about with like him being passionate about other things.
Yeah.
This was like revolutionary for the time because it literally was this big circular building where they had a water source to it, and they would like mix the pig feeds there. And then around that, they had a bunch of pig pens, and literally they could house like 200 pigs in that one area, centralize the feeding, and then like it made it easy and not labor intensive on their part to be able to feed all of them.
Yeah.
And I think they had like other parts where it was like meant for like the mom pigs to like be able to take care of the baby pigs and stuff like that. But like apparently that pig palace was revolutionary because of the way it was structured. And
well, yeah, probably back in the day.
Yeah.
I can imagine that.
And like it's really boiled down to him just like trying to be resourceful.
Yeah. Your computer is loud. Listen to that.
Well, I don't know what to tell you.
I've been telling you to buy a new one for the longest.
It might be that time. Then the next building that we got to was the silos. And we're guilty, and we really enjoy watching the Magnolia like farmhouse house renovation stuff on TV, and they have the silos. So when I saw this, I was really excited because I was like, oh, we have our own silos in California. We don't have to travel to Texas to go see these silos.
Silos are, if it's farmland, there should be a silo somewhere.
Well, I've never been to a silo, and these are the oldest ones and the first ones west of the Mississippi. So ours existed before the Magnolia ones in Texas.
Wow, well, I'm pretty sure there's silos outside of Magnolia.
I'm sure there are, but we haven't been. They're obviously famous for them, and so I was excited that we had our own silos.
Hey, there were silos in North Carolina.
I never went to them, so
okay, whatever.
And then after we went there, then we came back to his cottage, and that they've like restored it to what it was supposed to be like during when him and his wife were living there. And this was like their main house because they never got to live in that dream house. It never completely got finished. So they had a lady in there like explaining and like going over some of the history, and you could kind of wander around. And I feel like we didn't even get to fully wander around because there was like a garden outside on the other side. And, but it's like a big area, and you can kind of see it has his library with all the books and everything.
That was a nice, what was that, their house?
Yeah, that was their house that they lived in. I mean, it's definitely been restored, but like to look like what it was, but was their primary house.
Yeah. So that was their primary house. So wait, what was the other side the original place that we went to look at?
That was their dream house that they were building.
Okay. But there was a place we walked into on that side too. What was that? Wasn't that another house of theirs?
That was good question.
Because then it wasn't a gift shop now, was it?
It's the House of Happy Walls Museum, and I can't remember.
That's what it was.
It was another house, but it wasn't their like main house.
Oh.
It was for his stepsister that lived in there.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's what's the museum now, and they host events in there too. So
yeah, I remember going into that place.
And I can't remember. I feel like we just did the walk, like our own self-guided tour in there. I don't think we did the official, anyways. But definitely recommend it. And this was actually funny to me because Olivia was grumbling when I told her that we were going hiking and we were getting ready for this day. And by the end, like, especially because we got to wander around and see all the old buildings and everything, she was like, she told me at the end, she was like, "Oh, Mom, that was actually kind of fun." I was like, yes. Finally turning the corner where she's like excited to do some of the stuff that I'm planning that's like not involving her phone or.
Yeah.
So it has her almost 9-year-old stamp of approval. And then the other thing, they do actually offer horseback riding, which we didn't get to do. This is still on my bucket list. It's hard because I feel like Olivia is getting to the point where she's old enough to do a lot of these things. But then now we have Noah, who's like not even 3. So we're kind of back at square one. We couldn't go horseback riding, but I've heard like really great things about the rides and stuff that you can go on there.
I wasn't going to ever go on a horse.
Well, then maybe that can be a me and Olivia
Yeah, you
thing.
and Olivia, me and Noah can go hang out and run around or something. I'm just not interested in horseback riding and stuff like that.
Like, I think it's nice to do like for something fun. Like I want to go like on the beach sometime, like on that kind of whatever.
No,
but this was probably the most cost effective thing that we did all day. It was like only $10 to get into the state park for parking, and that's literally it.
Yeah. Most cost effective. Yeah.
I started with this was not the most budget friendly one we've done.
You said that a few podcasts ago.
Yeah, there's only been one other episode, but this I was so excited. What's the term now? Girl math. This was a girl math type situation because I was excited to do what we were doing.
But then you get upset about, oh, you buying this camera? Man, get out of here.
Anything else you want to talk about with Jack London State Park?
No, but you see that we're using these cameras now, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so don't be complaining anymore.
Whatever. Now we're going to talk about wine. And the place that we went to, so this again, like we're trying to try different things with some of our episodes, and we went to Dane Cellars, and this tasting room was recommended by the Glen Ellen Star team. And a lot of the wineries that we've gone to for the other episodes have been kind of the well-known or like well-established, like if you Google wherever you're going and good wineries, like they're common ones that people go to or that they associate with being family friendly.
Yeah.
But I wanted something a little bit different. And this one, the Glen Ellen Star team had recommended it because it's literally the tasting room is in an old wine tank. And so it's actually another historic piece to Glen Ellen because it's this literally like big 10,000 gallon wine tank that from when Glen Ellen first started. And so that piqued my interest because it's not your normal like tasting where it's like this on this big gigantic vineyard, but it's a piece of history. And the owner and winemaker is Bart Hansen. And he, when I was reading about him, he's worked at several different wineries. He's worked at Benzinger, which is also in Glen Ellen, and Lassiter. So I thought his like background and the fact that he's like worked at all these different wineries in Glen Ellen, and then now he's like on his own, making his own wine, figured he would be pretty interesting. And he actually like ventured out on his own when he became a stay-at-home dad. And Dane is his son, who's like the namesake of the Cellars. And you can see some of the pictures where they've been like working and like throughout the winemaking process with him and his son. So I felt like we're doing family friendly stuff. And he literally went out on his own and named his cellar after his son. So what's more family friendly than that?
Yeah. So if you're watching the YouTube video, I didn't really take any video inside. Like I got some of the outside, but that was about it.
Yeah. And that's okay. Cause I feel like we were like actually focused on the wine tasting. Like, but that's
what I liked about it was it's a very intimate space, very small. So like, I didn't feel comfortable bringing a camera in there. So, cause it's like so small and it's like a one-on-one, like wine tasting, which I like that a lot.
Yeah. And that's what I was excited about. Cause like it was like probably the most educational wine tasting that we've ever gone to learn about the wines. Cause he literally is the winemaker.
Yeah. He's the maker and he's the guy that's pouring the wine for you. So yeah, I have to agree. He definitely taught us a lot and told us a lot about winemaking.
Yeah. And they also have he does a podcast. It's called The Winemakers. And knowing that we were going for a wine tasting there, I listened to a couple episodes before we went. And it's like him and some other winemakers in the area get together and they talk to other winemakers and like from all different vineyards, like all over the area. And so to me, like how he spoke to us when we were doing the wine tasting, like really is very similar to the podcast. And like they like nerd out a little bit and went above my head because we're both very new to like wine, especially since we first moved here, of like different clones and like the grape varietals and everything. So it was very interesting to me because I don't know why in my head, but like winemaking and growing on the vineyards is like farming, but in my head I didn't like think about it in that way, and like just the science and everything behind. I know, because you are at the end of the process when you're enjoying the wine, so I just didn't think of all the like 50 steps that have to happen before.
I mean, you got to plant stuff, you got to water it, you got to do all this stuff, fertilizer,
and just all the like with the science background, like all the testing of like the acidity and the sugar content, like of the grapes. Like I didn't realize that like how scientific it was to like get it to the final bottle.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that either, but it makes a lot of sense, especially when you're looking for a particular taste, right?
Yeah.
Or,
flavor profile or like the different notes and like wanting a certain type of wine. So for the tasting, it was really great because like Ryan said, like it was one-on-one with him and he knows so much. So we learned a lot and it was laid back and he was super accommodating with the kids too, which I really enjoyed because we like had been out hiking. So I guess as far as our kids go, they were pretty mellow because we'd gotten their energy out of like letting them run around. Yeah. But he like didn't care at all that we like had Noah in his stroller, like just eating his lunch
while blasting
like,
Bluey.
Like it was the most laid back and enjoyable wine tasting and I feel like you even enjoyed it, like which you normally by the time we get to the wine, like you're just tolerating being there.
Well, originally I was, but there was a few wines I was like, wow, that's so different. Like it was something that I've never tasted before, and it like, especially like the one that was like very floral.
That was the Zinfandel.
Yeah, that one was like something that I've never tasted before in wine.
Yeah.
Like what his version of how he made it, I was like, wow, yeah.
So we definitely, and then I guess I should talk more about the tank. So it started with Joshua Chavette, which was one of the original winemakers in Glen Ellen. And like we said, it's like ginormous when you talk about wine tanks, but like when you're doing the wine tasting in there, it's like a very intimate setting and it can hold up to 10,000 gallons of wine. And it's from local redwood trees that were harvested, that those trees were probably like thousands of years old by the time that they like cut it down to make the wine tank. And over time, like it was used for several hundred years or 100 years. as a wine tank. And then the winery eventually shut down and they moved it across the street. And it's part of the Glen Ellen shopping center. So then that was kind of where he decided to have his tasting room. And
yeah, it's a very unique thing. I actually like it. Yeah, I like it.
yeah. And as far as logistics, he does have the ability to book tastings on his website. So you can just book directly. And he we were emailing and stuff to confirm things. So it's like him helping coordinate everything too. So it's very personal wine tasting. It's the one we did inside the wine tank was $45 a person. So it's not bad as far as like tastings go. And then his bottles range anywhere from $35 to $60, which again is like reasonably priced for this area. And we ended up taking home the Sauvignon Blanc, which I guess the other thing I didn't talk about yet that I found interesting was like every winery we've gone to, it's been
or winery.
Winery.
Oh.
They like grow the grapes there and then bottle it. But that was another thing I had never really thought about was like where he has a tasting room and he like makes the wine. But he has to buy the grapes from some of these vineyards that actually grow them. And so the Sauvignon Blanc is grown on Beltane Ranch, which is another like farm in the area that also makes wine. And that was really nice because it was like the mid 80s, like close to 90 that day we went.
Yeah.
And so it was super refreshing because we'd been out like hiking and it was nice and What?
No, I just remember it just popped up in my head after you said that I was drunk after leaving that place.
And
I wasn't drunk. I was like
we were tipsy. But that's because we did go hiking and we left later than I was planning on.
Yeah.
And I had packed food for a picnic and we didn't have time to sit down at Jack London at the picnic tables to eat lunch. So both of us were on an empty stomach. And then we went and did wine tasting and he does pour very generously. And we got to taste all of his bottle, like the wines for purchase right now. So it was like probably 6 different wines and we didn't have any food on our stomach.
And it's very strong. We had to sit in the parking lot
and eat our food before we drove home.
I just remembered it because then like when we came home, I just had to lay down because my head was hurting because I don't drink like that.
Yeah. And like we were dehydrated from hiking and sweating and like had an empty stomach. So, but it was really refreshing. The Sauvignon Blanc was really refreshing after hiking. But
I enjoyed it though. Like it was nice flavors.
Yeah.
The wine tastes really good.
And then the one that you were talking about that was most interesting was the Zinfandel. And that, like Ryan said, was very floral and aromatic. So it's a unique twist on a traditional Zinfandel, I guess. But, let's see. And originally I had planned on going to Benzinger too, for the winery, a second tasting, but because we were a little bit tipsy, we decided not to do that. But this was definitely like the unique tasting. And then if you want to add on a second winery, like they are literally like, because Glen Ellen's smaller, it's like 2 minutes down the road and actually close to Jack London State Park.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to, it wouldn't be hard to add on. And they actually are a biodynamic farming winery. And so if you feel like reading up more about that, there's lots of things that have to go into a winery getting that type of certification with and it's supposed to be more eco-friendly. So it's kind of interesting. And they have a trail kind of close to the tasting room from what I was reading where you can like learn about the biodynamic farming. And they're also one of the more popular wine tours. I think like USA Today, like they've been voted one of the most, the best winery tours because you can either go in a tractor or another like vehicle around and learn about the biodynamic farming. And that one, if you want to do just like in the tasting room, it's only $25. And they have like, we have a Visa signature card credit card. So if you do that, it's like buy one, get one free. So it would be pretty economical to just like tag that on as a second winery if you felt so inclined.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that was the place you was. Okay. Okay. So I thought, for some reason, I was thinking like, well, I knew once we did what is it, the other place we just went?
Dane Cellars.
Yeah, once I knew we went to Dane Cellars, I knew it wasn't that place you were saying, but I thought that's what we were doing originally.
Yeah.
Because I was like, when you said there was what was it?
The tractor thing?
Tractor, yeah. I was actually looking forward to that, but
oh.
I was wondering what Noah was going to do if, on the tractor and how loud it was.
Yeah, but another day, because we definitely liked Glen Ellen a lot. So I'm sure we will go back.
Yeah.
All right. Last but not least is Glen Ellen Star. And this has been another thing that's been on our bucket list for a while. So I'm glad that we finally got to enjoy their food. They are a Michelin star restaurant, and they're on the Bib Gourmand list for the past 10 years. So
okay, wait a minute. What is that?
So that is like I don't know the price range, but they're like Michelin star restaurants tend to be pretty pricey. So these are the Bib Gourmand list is like more reasonable, where I think it's like $40 a serving on average or whatever, but it's supposed to be like more reasonably priced and a little bit more laid back than a like traditional Michelin star restaurant. Okay. So like when we, those are normally the ones that I look at, just because if they're a little bit more laid back than a traditional Michelin star, then I feel like we'll have less trouble when we take the kids there.
Yeah.
But Noah proved otherwise. But we've been driving. So both kids really get like a soothing feeling from car rides. So a lot of times in the evenings, like probably maybe 2 or 3 times, we've driven that way, and it's always busy, and you've made comments about like how busy it is and like, oh, we should try it. It must be good if it's always busy.
Wait, talking about the Glen Ellen Star?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, that, but when I ride my motorcycle, that's the way I go all the time. I do the loop because it makes a big circle back to the house.
Yeah.
Like you go a certain way, and then it makes, once you go to Glen Ellen Star, you turn left at the stop sign there.
Yep.
It circles back around to the main road. I don't know what the name of that road is. Yeah, but I used to go by there all the time on my motorcycle, and it was like jam-packed all the time.
Yeah.
And I was always thinking, like, damn, I'm really going to have to go there one day. It's always packed.
Yeah.
But it was such a small place that, like, I don't know. It was unique because it was so small, and it was like a red building or a burgundy building.
And they were always busy.
Yeah, and they were always busy.
But they've been consistently a Michelin star restaurant for 10 years. So that, like, they're consistent in how well they've done. So I was so excited. They have this thing called Neighborhood Night. So because we're local, I wanted to take advantage of that, just because they do like seasonal food, and they're a farm to table restaurant. And the chef, and the head chef, is married to someone in the Benzinger family, and they have a farm. I think it's called like Glentucky Farm, and they have the luxury of literally being farm to table, where they are able to work with the Mike Benzinger who runs the farm to grow like what they want to serve in the restaurant. So they and you guys will hear a little bit about this in the interview. They literally like plan like what they're going to grow on the farm to be able to serve in the restaurant.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool when I was listening back to it, because unfortunately I didn't get to sit in the room.
Yeah.
Because hold on. I'm sorry. Before we continue, I still don't understand what the hell was up with this restaurant and Noah. He was just hell bent on not going into that restaurant. He'd look at the restaurant, he would flip out.
Yeah, it was so bizarre. So I was so excited because we were finally going to go, and I had made a reservation at like 5:30, because I think just with us being, I don't know if it's a Southern thing, but it's an us thing. We've always been worried about like how our kids act when we take them out to restaurants. Yeah. And so I made it at 5:30. So I was like, it's early dinner. Like if he acts up, like he's not going to ruin anybody's dinner, because it's going to be early still. And we get there. like before we even make it in. He was perfectly fine walking up to the restaurant. As soon as we crossed the street to the restaurant, he like lost it. And we couldn't even get in. I didn't even put him in the high chair. Like I immediately had to take him back out.
Yeah.
And then he like literally the only thing that calmed him down was like touching the little, they're like right on the corner and they have these little trees that bushes that line to like protect the restaurant from the street. And he wanted to touch those. And literally that was it. Like he would not calm down. And then I didn't even take my phone or anything with me. I just like ran out with him because I didn't want him to like start screaming in the restaurant. And you come out like probably like 15, 20 minutes later and I still hadn't calmed him down. So we swapped and I went in and sat in with Olivia and still he like you couldn't calm him down. You guys went to the car, like everything we tried.
Yeah. Well, he calmed down once we got into the car, but that was just the strangest thing that's ever happened. Like he's never acted that way. We've gone to plenty of restaurants.
Yeah.
And fairly busy restaurants, not so busy. It's like a mix. But for some reason, he just wasn't having that restaurant. And then when we came back,
he was perfectly fine at home. Oh, yeah,
no.
for the
when
interview.
we came back for the interview, he lost his crap again just going to the place.
And like the restaurant wasn't even open. Like
No.
and it wasn't the sound or anything. Like we've definitely taken him to busy restaurants that were louder than Glen Ellen Star, and he like was not having it.
Yeah.
So
he just saw the door and was I'm like, what in the world, man? It's not a doctor's office. Maybe he thought it was a doctor's office. I don't know.
we never know what's going through his
that
head.
was my little side rant.
No, but I wanted to talk about that because I was so excited and we were like, and it was close to your birthday, though I know it wasn't like your birthday dinner, but like we were going to have a nice dinner. And normally you don't let me go to places like this with Noah. So
That's
for this
exactly
reason.
why. That is exactly why. Because I don't want to ruin other people's experiences. Because I feel like, times are hard for a lot of people. Yeah. So like having a nice dinner, I feel like is a treat for everyone almost. Yeah. Unless you rich folks, it don't really matter. Y'all go where y'all want to go. Yeah. But when you're strapped for cash, you don't want to have your one night out messed up by some loud kid. Yeah. So like that's where I always come from. It's like I don't want to ruin it for anybody else.
Yeah. So I definitely have to give a shout out. I looked at our receipt. Francisco was our waiter. He had so much patience. And like with us flip-flopping of like who was in there with Olivia. And then literally we enjoyed the appetizer before. At that point, it was like 30 minutes. And again, like we know they're a busy restaurant, like, and they're popular. Like people want to come eat there. So we didn't want to hold up a table for like a 2-hour dinner when, they could have other people rotate through. Yeah. So we eventually just got food to go.
We just called it and was like, let's just get it to go.
So luckily, all restaurants, I feel like now post-COVID have takeout. So we're so lucky that we could just be like, please just box it up and we can go.
But anyway, what did you have?
So I had their neighborhood night menu that night was a panzanella salad as the first course. And because it's tomato season, that's like what's tastes good and is ripe, I guess, right now. So panzanella salad, that was delicious. And then a salmon with polenta and squash, eggplant, and plums, which I am not, like, that was adventurous for me. Like, I'm not a big seafood person or like vegetable person. And it was really good.
Good. What did I have? I had the steak.
Yeah, you had their Snake River Wagyu Zabuton steak, which had it was the steak, obviously, but the corn pie and some like cream fraiche with it.
I like that a lot. That steak was cooked to perfection.
Yeah.
Man, that was good. It was unfortunate that it was kind of cold by the time I got it home, but like I can just imagine what it would have tasted like fresh with all like it was
stuff together.
Yeah, it was good. It was really, really good.
And then the kid friendly aspect, I guess, is that they specialize in pizzas. And so it had cheese pizza for Olivia. So
wood fire pizza, yeah.
And then we forgot about the appetizer. We had octopus, and it was like grilled octopus. And even Olivia, I know you didn't really, we saved you some, right?
You saved me one little piece, and that's all I needed. I didn't need any more. Like, just seeing that it was an octopus it was good, though. It was good, but it was hard for me to put in my mouth because it was an octopus. Like, if it's not fried, it's weird.
Which I think is so interesting because, like, you are more adventurous, but Olivia loved that octopus. Like, if I hadn't said, like, we need to save some because your poor dad's stuck outside with Noah, like, she would have ate all the octopus. Like, and I've been complaining about her not being adventurous, and here she is eating grilled octopus.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, did I order that?
Yeah, that you ordered that before we switched, and it was got there when I came back in to Olivia. Oh. Like, so it hadn't even come to the table by the time you came outside.
Oh.
Yeah. But all the food was delicious, and I agree. Like, I'm glad that we got to do takeout, but it would have probably been 10 times more amazing if we would have sat in there in the restaurant.
That restaurant is probably the only place that, like, I'm like, we need to go back. Like, just me and you, and leave the kids at home, because it was really good, but I didn't really get to experience it like I wanted it to.
Yeah. Well, and I think they're getting ready. So they're opening up another restaurant in Kenwood, Stella. And that one I know is definitely going to be on our list because when I asked, like, what their kind of menu take is going to be, it's going to be wood fire grilled food, but like not pizza. They're only going to keep pizza.
Okay, you can't talk about the interview anymore.
Sorry, but
that's toward the end.
Well, I was so sad that you weren't in there for that part because they were talking about that, and you love to grill, and so I was like, you probably would have really enjoyed talking to them about that. Anyways, the food was amazing, and like you said, we will definitely be going back. Anything else you want to say about the restaurant?
No, there wasn't much for me to talk about the restaurant. I didn't get to enjoy it.
Well, I guess that's a perfect segue because, I mean, we all in the end were really excited, but I'm the foodie in the family, and I probably somewhat torture people with watching Dinner Time Live with David Chang on Netflix.
Yeah, you're the foodie in the family, but you barely cook. I got to cook all the food. You just get to enjoy eating it.
Exactly. That's why I married you. You're the cook, and I get to enjoy it. But I was really excited that they accommodated this interview at Glen Ellen Star. We got to meet with Chef Bryant and the general manager, Spencer, and learn a lot more about the restaurant. So we'll transition and end the episode there.
Yeah, so listen, this is our very first interview. I wasn't in the room, so you have to forgive any mistakes, but it turned out to be a pretty good interview. Okay.
Thanks for the approval.
What do you mean approval?
That I did a good job interviewing.
Oh, I was talking about the setup, the lighting and stuff like that.
The parts that you did. Whatever.
Actually, this is going to be my first time actually going through the whole interview. I haven't actually made it through the whole interview.
Well, I guess
like from editing and stuff.
Everybody will see.
Okay, yeah. All right. We will see you guys next time. But enjoy the interview. Bye.
Thanks, guys, for listening. Thank you both for meeting with me today. We're getting ready to do our podcast episode on Glen Ellen and exploring the area. And I'm the foodie in our family, so I'm the one that ends up planning everything and dragging everyone out. So I was really excited to really learn about what you guys do and the restaurant and how you put everything together. So the first question I have is how you guys got started and really evolved into the restaurant business and what your day looks like. And whoever wants to start.
Brian. So I got started at a very young age. My family had restaurants in Peru and in New Jersey. And then, that was just my intro to restaurants was around 10 years old, starting to be on the line. And, 10 years old, starting to be on the line. And, 10 years old, starting to be on the line. And, 10 years old, starting to be on the line. And, 10 years old, starting to be on the line. And, 10 years old, starting to be on the line. And, 10 years old, starting to be on the line. And, 10 years old, starting to be on the line. And, 10 years old, starting to be on the line. And, 10 years old, starting to be on the line. And, 10 years old, starting to be on the line. And, 10 years old, starting to be on the line. And, 10 years old, starting to be on the line. And, 10 years old, starting to be on the line. And, 10 years old, starting to be on the line. And, 10 years old, starting to be on the line. And, 10 years old, starting to be on the line. And, 10 years old, starting to be on the line. And, 10 years old, starting to be on the line. And, 10 years old, starting to be on the line. And, 10 years yeah, doing everything from sautéing, filleting fish, and making ceviche at a very, very young age. So that was definitely how I got introduced to the restaurant industry. And then moving forward, I ended up, starting different restaurants at a very young age. 16 years old, I was junior sous chef, which is pretty
impressive.
Pretty young to be at that level. But yeah, I think that was like my biggest asset to the restaurant industry, was learning at such a young age.
And what kind of restaurants did you work in and with your family?
They had Peruvian restaurants, and with like Italian influence.
That's really cool. I read that you have a bachelor's degree in culinary arts management with a concentration in American food studies from farm to table. What did your education look like after kind of growing up with your family? And I have no idea, like when you go to school for that, like what does that look like?
So I did 2 years of like the associate's degrees in at the Culinary Institute in New York, in Hyde Park. So I did that for 2 years, and then afterwards I came back to the restaurant that I was already previously working at. And I was a sous chef there, and I was still trying to be like, my goal was to be a chef one day. And so I was like this little annoying kid to my chef, and I was like, hey, what do I do? I want to be like you one day. And so he was like, all right, well, you definitely need to know the business side of it. So I would recommend going back and getting your business management, your bachelor's. Yeah. And so I did just that. I went back to the same school, the Culinary. They were offering a bachelor's program at the time. So I went back, and the bachelor's program was it was very like any other bachelor program for business, just pretty straightforward. And then the concentration part of it was pretty cool. It was 3 months doing a semester away to California. And cool. So I'm from the East Coast, and that was kind of like my intro to California. So I chose California for 3 months, and they have a campus here at St. Helena. And so I stayed out here for 3 months, and the whole regiment was pretty much 6 a.m. you're at the farm, and you're hands-on with a farmer, and you're pretty much planting and picking and harvesting all this stuff. And then after that, you have 2 business classes, and then you run a restaurant at nighttime.
Oh, wow.
So
all day.
Yeah, so it's your entire day. You're pretty much for 3 months, you're doing that, which I thought was very, very interesting. And yeah, I got to see California for what it was, and that's what made me come back.
Yeah.
And yeah, just the beauty of the produce, it's very different from New Jersey and and New York, in New York, you go into Union Square Park to the farmer's market, which is beautiful too, but I don't know, there's something about California produce that's just out of this world. Yeah.
And it's literally from growing and picking it to actually cooking with it.
Actually cooking, yeah, which is beautiful. And that's what I'm doing right now too, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the restaurants you worked at. You've worked at several Michelin star restaurants, and I was kind of curious, what are some of the differences between the different restaurants you've worked at, and what are some of the things you learned at the different restaurants that you've worked at over time as your careers evolved?
I mean, every restaurant I worked at, you definitely learn the rights and wrongs, no matter if it's a deli in Jersey to 3 Michelin in New York. But I feel yeah, there's a couple of main influences that 11 Madison Park was just full on organization and beyond attention to detail, and which is some points to an extreme, I think. And now you just pick what you want out of each restaurant to
take with you.
Yeah, to take with you. And but yeah, I mean, 3 Michelin's a great experience. I feel everybody should definitely experience that and just see what that's about. And I 100% respect every single person that's still doing it, because it's not easy. It's your job doesn't end when you leave. You have to write lists and mentally prepare for the next day. So I think just having that definitely helped me a lot with running a restaurant and trying to influence other people, because here that we're doing like the same thing, you know, like we're showing that we care about produce, and like every little detail that we do in the kitchen like actually matters. And that's like the whole like motto that Through Michelin kind of puts in you.
Yeah.
But that's what my biggest takeaway was, just like the extra attention to detail, which I don't know, once you do that, you kind of get hooked on it, and it's just like a part of you, and it's a beautiful
it sticks.
thing. Yeah.
And then Spencer, for you, I know you've been in the restaurant business. Like, what did your start look like, and how did you know that this was kind of the career path that you wanted to take?
I think I first realized I wanted to be in the industry kind of really early. We lived right next to a brand new Marriott that was opening up in my hometown. Mm-hmm. And I was young, 14 or 15 maybe, and I needed a job. So they were hiring pretty much anybody because they were brand new and they were opening and they needed to hire a full staff. Yeah. So I was lucky enough to just get a job in their like breakfast buffet area.
Yeah.
And
were you like prepping the breakfast? Like,
there was two of us. Like, it was like a 150 room hotel in a medium-sized town. Yeah. So there was two of us that did everything from make breakfast to scramble the eggs to clean up to serve to set up the buffet, and it was something I did throughout high school for 4 straight years, and I really liked it. Probably didn't think I would like it, but kind of fell in love with it. And it just turned into more and more restaurant jobs after that. In high school, I decided to go to Johnson & Wales, which is a hospitality college on the East Coast. I think there's actually a couple different locations, but I went to the one in Providence and took food service management and restaurant management. Yeah. Did a couple cooking classes just to kind of figure out what was going on back there, but mostly front of house. And so from high school, I did the job. In college, I served like any other college student would do to make some money. Yeah. And then from there, kind of found my first management job in my last year of college at the parent company of the first hotel I opened up. They were opening a new hotel in Foxborough, right next to where the Patriots play, and they needed a food and beverage manager for their new restaurant there. So that's where I landed in college. Yeah.
And then what does your day look like here at Glen Ellen Star? Like, what does being a general manager mean?
I mean, you kind of get your hands into everything. Menu planning with the chefs to staffing to being on the floor a large majority of your shift,
holding everything together,
chatting with guests and making sure everyone has whatever they need, whether it's the linen delivery or wine being delivered or stocking, or it just encompasses kind of the whole deal. And just talking to everybody, you're just kind of orchestrating everything and making sure it all runs on time.
I could imagine there's problems that come up on a daily basis that it's just like troubleshooting and trying to figure out how to...
Yeah, I mean, the goal is to have those problems solved before they happen, but there's certainly problems that occur that need to solve in the time. Yeah.
Because we're local, we were able to come and eat on Wednesday night at the neighborhood night. So I was curious as far as like putting a menu together and what that looks like because it changes each week. So I'm always amazed at because in our family, Ryan is definitely like the one that can like make stuff taste good, but I'm like the detail oriented, like I'm better at baking because it's precise and I can follow a recipe. Yeah. So I'm curious about that process and like how you just throw it all together and it tastes amazing.
So it's definitely, it's like a whole group process, but we're pretty much trying to highlight the farm, and the farm is like our kind of like our center base for like the menu. So whatever is pretty much in season coming in like from our farm, that's what we try to like mainly highlight on the menu. And then from there, once we have like a list of produce that Mike and I talk about that's available, I kind of just like pick everyone's brains here, which I think it's like a lot of our success comes from that, which is everybody in this kitchen has like a say on the menu. It's not just like, oh, chef wants this, chef wants that. So I kind of like just ask them, you know, like, hey, what are you interested in cooking? What do you want to eat on your days off? Things like that. And just to get like creativity going.
Yeah.
And then just, you know, I'm at the end of the day, I'm the one that kind of like puts it all together with chef. But yeah, just getting people's insights and like ideas flowing is like, I think what's beautiful about our menu. And then once I get everybody's like ideas and like, you know, I'll put it down, and that's pretty much with chef and I kind of just finalize all the little like details to it. But yeah, everyone here has like a say on like what they want to cook, what they want to like eat, and I think that's pretty cool. Not many restaurants are doing that.
I was gonna say, like what I see on TV of restaurants normally, it's like the chefs can be kind of demanding, or at least that's how they're portrayed on TV. So it's nice that you guys have a team environment to be able to create ideas together. And that definitely makes sense, because that kind of feeds into my next question, because I had read about the farm, and I know farm to table can kind of be a trendy term depending on where it's used, but you guys do have the luxury of having the farm. So does Mike grow stuff for you guys? Like, do you get to give him requests, or does he grow things and then he tells you what's available, and then you can kind of cherry pick what you want to use?
Yeah, so it's pretty much directly just for us. So yeah, not many people have that like luxury. So I've been here for almost 2+ years. Since the first year that I started, it was pretty much sitting down with Mike and Chef Ari and just kind of like setting up like the whole entire season for the year. I'm like, okay, what kind of like produce do you guys want us to like grow for you? So it's very like, you know, back and forth, whatever. I know it's also about like the land too. Like, there's certain things that don't do very well up there that do very well in other places in California. Yeah. So we kind of highlight, he's got beautiful lettuces, tomatoes in season are like one of the best tomatoes like that I've ever had, you know? And so he definitely highlights like what's peak and prime at his farm. But yeah, we kind of just decide as a team like what we want to see on our menus throughout the seasons. So like we're already talking about like fall, because you know that's already been planted like a while ago already. So yeah, it's kind of just like you're talking about like the whole year kind of, and then drawing it out to what you want. But you need to plant so like earlier than you think.
Yeah,
which is something that So the first year was like a big learning curve on like, I'm like, hey Mike, I want this squash, and he's like, you should have told me 2 months ago, you know, like.
And then I mean, we get. How much is planted up there? That is it 2 acres planted on 5 acres of land, or?
Yeah, 2 acres.
2 acres planted. And I think last year we received how many tons of tomatoes from him? Almost 3 tons?
3 tons.
Yeah.
Just in the summertime of tomatoes.
Just tomatoes.
He's got like, yeah, over like 200 varieties of tomatoes up there.
Yeah.
It's like insane.
And
there's some that it's just like beautiful to see like little specific like different cherry tomatoes that
you've never seen
that
before.
I've never even seen or heard about, and to be able to like put that exact, there's this one, it's called like mochi tomato, cherry tomato.
Yeah.
And it's like this beautiful shiny, it looks like a cherry, like a real actual cherry. And it like bursts in your mouth like in a different way than like a normal cherry tomato.
Yeah.
And to be able to like highlight that on the menu, like a mochi cherry tomato, and people eat it and be like, what the hell is that? You know, like I think that's like super cool.
Yeah, and to be able to see those like unique things that you guys can offer, like that I can't just go to the grocery store and pick up. And panzanella salad was on the menu this week, and I can agree the tomatoes were amazing. They were definitely fresh. My husband Ryan loves making pizza, and it's gotten into it recently where he's really good about the dough, and then he started like dabbling in the sauce. So I was curious, because pizza is one of your guys' specialties. Like, what do you guys think is the secret to an amazing pizza?
For me, it's the dough, but I mean, we use a sourdough, and the starter's as old as the restaurant. So the pizza's gotten better, I think, progressively throughout the years as the starter has matured and aged and evolved and all those things. I think, the wood oven too, it throws some special characteristics to it.
I agree. I think it's the sourdough too. I've worked with pizzas for years, and I think the sourdough of the restaurant is like the key player in there for sure.
That sounds great. My 8-year-old daughter agrees. It was delicious. I was really excited to see a margarita pizza on the menu. You guys are obviously in the restaurant all day, cooking and prepping. When you guys are not at work, what do you guys either like eating or cooking? Like, do you make Glen Ellen star recipes at home?
Sometimes, yeah. I think for the most part, it's like I really love to like grill and grilling, and like we'll on our days off we'll hang out and we'll light up the grill and have like steaks and.
Yeah,
we're like big into we're big into like Wagyu and like steaks.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Quality ingredients and some good cooking put together.
I'm sure it's nice, like grilling. You can relax and like grill and then sit and chat. And
yeah, for sure.
It's not as stressful as a kitchen.
Definitely not. No.
We have 2 kids, so I joke a lot of times that we're in our chicken nuggets and pizza era because that's all we can get them to eat a lot of times. But like I said, I love coming to places like Glen Ellen Star. Do you guys have kids? And if so, how do you get them to be more adventurous? Like our daughter, we're just now getting to that point where like, I'm like, you have to try this, 1 bite. Like that's all I'm asking.
We both don't have kids.
No kids. No. The restaurants are
your babies.
They're babies. Yeah. I mean, with the second one opening up, it's
that's
I'll
your
have
second
2 kids.
baby.
Yeah.
We keep trying to encourage her because we're like, just try it. Like you'll be surprised. So.
Yeah.
One of the other things I noticed about the menu was the wine. And I noticed you guys have a lot of smaller wineries and a lot of Sonoma County wines as well. So I was kind of curious how you guys go about picking that. And on neighborhood night, I know you guys offer like a no corkage fee where people can bring their own wine. And that is kind of interesting to me. And I'm sure it's more common in Napa and Sonoma. But like, do you guys like it when people bring their own wine, or like have you the effort you put into kind of crafting the wine menu? Like, do you?
So the wine menu itself is strictly based on 3 counties: Sonoma, Napa, and Mendocino counties. So we keep it hyper local. Yeah. Our goal is to feature wineries that have a smaller production, or possibly a larger winery, and focusing on their smaller production labels or wines. A lot of times you're able to find more unique things that way and stuff that people haven't seen out in the market. Most of the wines we have on the list don't leave California, so a lot of the tourists that come in haven't had that varietal or haven't had that winery or haven't even heard of it. So that oftentimes they'll see the menu and be like, I don't know anything on this menu. I'm like, great, we've done our job.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's exciting, and showing people things they haven't seen before and having them like it is really cool. And then to answer your question about neighborhood night and the free corkage, a lot of people around here, especially locals, have massive wine cellars. There are club members everywhere, and this is a great opportunity for them to open a couple bottles that they've been sitting on or just don't want to drink at home, and have a great meal that Chef Bryant has created, and it kind of works well together. So yeah, we love people bringing in their own wine, especially if it's super cool and not on our list.
Yeah. Do you guys taste the wines like before you put them on the menu? Like, how do you go about choosing?
Yeah, I mean, everything on the menu has been tasted, usually by myself or a colleague, and we do our best to rotate producers in and out. So the list is only 100 different bottles at one time. So we'll bring a case or 2 into something, and then it'll disappear, and then something will replace it. There's just in Sonoma County, I think there's 500 wineries. So it would take more than a year to go through all those, and we're featuring 3 counties. So now you're talking about like 2,000 or 3,000 different wineries. We'd never be able to get through those. So yeah, just kind of keep rotating in and out, keeping the list fresh and something different. So next time you come in, there'll be similar to the menu, the food menu, there'll be a different wine list. Yeah.
That's great. I know you guys mentioned the new restaurant, Stella, and from what I've read about it so far, you guys want it to be similar to Glen Ellen Star, but different and unique. So I was kind of curious what you guys are most excited about with that new venture and what we might expect to see.
I'm most excited about a brand new kitchen. Yeah. As a chef, it's like, like
dream.
Yeah, it's a dream.
Bells and whistles.
Yeah. So the difference is going to be our wood-fired oven is pretty much we want to keep like pizza just only at Glen Ellen Star, and so over there we're highlighting more on pastas. So we're doing about 6 to 8 pastas, fresh pastas on the menu, and then we're focusing on wood grill cooking. So that's kind of like the biggest difference between Glen Ellen and Stella. But yeah, wood grill cooking is I personally love anything on the grill, and especially when it's like wood, that puts a different like flavor to it. And so yeah, I'm mostly excited about that and the pasta program that we're gonna create there, which is gonna be everything from like stuffed pastas, gnocchis, tagliatelles, so variety of fresh pastas.
That's great. What about you, Spencer?
I'm excited to have a second restaurant in general.
Yeah.
We're often very busy here, and it'd be great to accommodate more people. We can't because of just capacity and space requirements.
Yeah.
So great to have an option to send someone elsewhere
down the road.
Yeah, down the road, just up 6 minutes up the street. And it's obviously exciting to have all the new things and all the new toys, and but just to have a new space is super exciting, and somewhere new for the locals to check out, and maybe visit us more than once a week, where we'll have a lot of locals here on Wednesdays, and we'll probably do something more along the same lines as neighborhood night on Monday or Tuesday at the new restaurant, so kind of offset in 2 different days.
Pick
which
one.
Yeah or both. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Our podcast is about exploring Sonoma County. So we normally will try like a restaurant and a winery and then get to do something fun with the kids. What do you guys recommend, like either in Glen Ellen or Sonoma County for like fun that maybe isn't your typical like Jack London Park or things like that?
I think for wineries, it's always fun to check out the local guys that aren't maybe being advertised, like the major tourists. A few that come off the top of my head. Laster is just up the street. It's actually in between the 2 restaurants. They have a great program up there where they'll do the whole tour for you, but their wine is fantastic. They source from on top of Trinity and right at their vineyard. They focus on some own varietals. Dane Cellars just opened up down the street, and literally a large wine barrel. You can walk in the wine barrel, and there's a small tasting room inside, and it's really cool.
That is cool.
So I would check out that. And then even smaller than that, which is hard to believe, Hilotara does a really small production wine, and we actually serve it by the glass here. And he's a great guy, and has an unbelievable Cab Franc that is really cool to check out. So I think, in short, just checking out those really hyper-local wineries, because you really do get a different experience than that mainstream type of place.
You have any ideas?
I live in Yountville, in the other side of the mountain, but as far as like food, I think like one of the best foods out here is La Molina. Is it La Molina?
El Molino.
El Molino. Yeah, El Molino is it's like this Mexican restaurant. They do like fresh masa, and yeah, that's like, if I think of somewhere that like if I'm out here and I would eat somewhere, it would definitely be there. Really, really, really good authentic Mexican food. And yeah, their tortillas are like amazing, fresh made.
Yeah.
It's a very, very good spot.
Their Michelin Bib Gourmand, right?
Yeah.
They're good.
Those are all the questions I have for you guys. Cool. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.